The last night of the it's propitious, Bob.
Hello, wonderful people. My name is Stacy Allen, and I am the creator of Jazz Beat Entertainment. And you are about to listen to an episode of True Story.
All right.
And actually, I just sent out some information asking some folks to get back to me, regular folks with any type of true story they may have, stories that will inspire, uplift, sad stories, any story they may have that may be interesting to the listeners. Well, little did I know I was going to get a ghost story. Yeah, real live ghost story. That's the first thing I said. Is it true? She said, yes, it's true. So I am going to introduce you to a dear, dear cousin of mine. Her name is Susie, and she's going to come on and tell us a ghost story. I told her I don't want to hear nothing about it beforehand. I want to be surprised. I want to really hear this ghost story and see and present it to you. As you hear it, I'm going to hear it for the first time also. So once again, I'm going to introduce you to Susie, and you're going to listen. I'm just going to be quiet and listen to her ghost story. I may have some questions, Susie. Say hello, Susie. That's Susie right there.
Hi.
I may have some. Thank you so much for being on the episode of True Story. I may have some questions, so if I interrupt, it's only because I'm thinking and I don't want to forget what I want to ask you. But
not a problem.
Jump right in. Okay. So here we have Susie, and she's going to talk about a real life, true story, ghost story. It's all on you. Go.
Thank you. So I moved into an apartment in Braddock Hills. I won't say the name of the apartment for liability reasons. However,
and we don't want to scare people either.
no, the current people that live there. And anyway, I moved into this apartment building and beautiful apartment, wonderful apartment, balcony, everything I wanted. And when I got into it, a friend of mine came over. She said, "Oh, it feels good in here." I was like, "Oh, yeah," not realizing what she was talking about. She said, "Oh, it feels good in here." So I went out to the store with my sister, Debbie, and I was approached by a stranger who said, "Oh, I just moved into my apartment." I said, "So did I." He said, "I got my apartment anointed." I said, "Okay." Just kind of looking at him like, okay. And then he said, "It's not too late for you." No idea what this gentleman was talking about. And I could tell you, we was down in Target. No idea what he was talking about. I'm like, I don't think I need that, but okay. I mean, I appreciate that. Thank you. So I went home, didn't think about it, nothing. Well, I
really quick, Susie. Are you can you try to hold your little,
yeah.
You're shaking. Hold it still.
Hold on.
Okay.
You know I'm old. I got to get
something. It was kind of shaking the screen and it was making me dizzy.
It was making me sound good. All right, you good right here?
I'm good.
Okay. So I went back home, didn't think anything of it. I usually, my grandson was young. He was 2 years old or so. He was autistic, didn't really talk, wasn't really verbal. He could say some words, but most of it was jibber jabber. So I got him every weekend from Slippery Rock because my daughter was in college. And he comes down and, I would always hear him in the room playing and just never thought about it, And he would say, come, go with me. And I walk into the room, he'd say, lay down. And I'd lay down on the bed and he would take a pillow and try to put it over my face. Well, in the beginning, I didn't realize what was going on. I'm like, why is he doing that? And just kind of push the pillow off. A 2-year-old, he doesn't have any strength. So I would try to push the pillow off. I realized there was something there because I started feeling weird. And I would always see him talking to someone. I didn't realize the magnitude of it, but something was going on. So, they say that babies can talk to spirits. I believe that. So Jaden would talk to whomever was there and just having a conversation. Well, the funny thing was, this is not a fully verbal child, but yet he could communicate with this entity like I'm communicating with you and your viewers or your listeners. I'm like, wow, he sure is talking clear. I don't know why that is. That's usually and I just kind of paid attention. That's all I could do. It went on and on every time he came, and then it started getting more not aggressive, but he would always call me in the room, and he would always try to put that pressure on me to try to smother me, or it would lead him into the kitchen and talk to him, and I would listen to the conversation. In one particular conversation, I hear, no, I don't think I want to kill.
What? Wait.
I'm like, whoa, hold on. The one thing that I have learned over time, because being around or having entities or whatever, it's not something that I would say I'm not used to. There has been different times.
So wait, so you're saying that he was taking the pillow, not like trying to play with you?
No, he was trying to smother me. He was trying to put all his weight. It always went over my face, and he was always trying to put his weight on me. And I began to question my daughter, like, where did he find this play? Because I didn't tell her that I believed there was something in my house. I just said, where did he find this play? Because he keeps trying to put a pillow over my face. It wasn't until I connected the dots when I heard, no, I don't want to kill, that something was trying to get him to kill me. I said, well, y'all are going to leave him alone. That was the first thing out my mouth. Like, I was scared to death, but I refused to let them know that I was scared. I refused to move out of my house. Needless to say, I never thought about anointing my house, even after I was warned. That was by the grace of God. I was warned, and I didn't.
So really quick, so this particular ghost was in the apartment, and you're saying the ghost was taking over your grandson's body, or having your grandson try to kill you?
He wanted him to become evil.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wanted him to become evil. Whatever was in that apartment was not nice.
Okay.
There was a time shortly after that, my grandson wasn't there, and I was asleep, and something grabbed me by the neck. It was like I was laying in the bed asleep. Something grabbed me by the neck, and it was laying behind me.
And you know it wasn't a dream.
It was not a dream. The only part that I could truly hear was "don't scream." So I thought someone was really in my house.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? If someone had broken. And I kept trying to scream, and it would just squeeze tighter. But it began to say something. And I guess I tuned it out. I wasn't listening to that. And the moment it let go, I screamed out and jumped up and turned on the lights. Mm-hmm. There was nothing there. I began to walk through the house. There was only 2 bedrooms. It was all on one floor. There was nothing there. Just me. Locked windows, locked doors. Nothing there. Now I'm really thinking serious about what's happening. You know what I mean? Okay, grandson's talking to somebody. Somebody just grabbed me around my neck. You know, I'm like, something's wrong. That was the first time I began to anoint. I anointed myself and I anointed my grandson for fear of what would happen to us. Okay. So I grabbed the oil. The next time he came, I anointed him. I anointed myself. let me tell you, it didn't stop. It would not physically attack us, but it did. It was still in the house. You know what I mean? Because again, I hadn't anointed the house. And so I'm listening to the conversation, and I always try to steer him a different way. Or if he walked in the kitchen, I'd walk in the kitchen. If he walked in the bathroom, I walked in the bathroom. I wanted to be where he was because I wanted to make sure that this thing is not physically attacking him.
I think I would have moved. Wait a minute. So how long did this go on? You walked around like you was following your grand. You was like, following him around. Y'all were staying together the whole time. If he went in the kitchen, you were in the kitchen. He went in the living room, you went in the living room.
Because I didn't have a
How long
chance.
did this go on?
This had to have gone on for a little over a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the reason, like I said, you know, when I've had was sleep and felt something sit on my bed. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything aggressive. It wasn't, and I just took it as it was my mom, because my mom's deceased. So I just took it as it was my mom. The house always felt good, blah, blah, blah. When I moved here, it was when it turned dark. It was, it was something dark in that house.
Okay, that's what that guy you saw in the grocery store was trying to warn you.
Right.
Okay.
And so it was something dark in there. And so whenever I went to bed, like I can go to bed with no covers on in this apartment, but I had to be fully covered, feet, head, everything. Same thing with my grandson. He would want to wrap up in the covers and cover his head, and and I don't know what that was all about, but it was only during the time that I knew that there was a spirit in that house. The other thing about the spirit, I always knew when it was around because I smelled a heavy, dried blood smell. I don't know, like if you ever bought meat and it was just sitting there and it was fresh and you could smell that blood. It was a very sickening, dried blood smell, just an awful smell. Whenever things
every time you wanted to move? You never wanted to move? Moving was never in your brain.
Moving, you know what? Because I used to watch, and I still sometimes do watch a lot of ghost adventures and things like that. And the one that I remember they used to always say is, let them know you're not afraid, that you're not a threat to them.
Did you leave your door open, like your apartment door? Like, you know how, because when you're in an apartment, there's other people across the hall. Did you would you feel safe, like opening up your door or your window?
It's the apartment building. It's the apartment building itself.
The ghosts belong to the apartment building.
To the apartment building.
So the other people in the unit had the same ghost, right? You're saying that like that?
There was more than one. I think there was more than one there. And the I do is because he talked to different people, and he would be running through the house and saying, "Newbie, tell him to leave me alone." And I would go, "Okay." He said, "Leave him alone. It's done. Just leave him alone." Like, you kind of have to deal with it at face value. And so it was like, okay, leave him alone. I never thought about moving. And the reason I never thought about moving is because I was not going to be ran out. I didn't think it was, I thought it was bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I also thought God was more powerful and that, I could get a handle on it. And I was like, I got enough dead relatives up there that somebody's going to come to my aid. And it was my grandson. He said, one day, he said, "Grandma, where are you? I can smell you." I said, "Me?" He said, "No, not you." Like, real indignant. "No, not you." I was like, okay. So I began to feel a little more comfortable because I felt like my mom was embracing him. Like, I'm not going to let nobody,
Yeah. Okay.
So felt a little more comfortable. It just seemed like he would start doing things like putting his hands behind his back. And I don't know how he managed to get his hands tied behind his back, but he would get his hands tied behind his back and sit on the floor and say, no, no, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. With his hands tied behind his back.
You mean like with a rope or something? Like tied, physically tied?
The string, and somehow wrap that string around his hands behind his back as if he was tied up.
Oh.
I'm like, so whatever happened here must have been violent. And I learned from the pizza guy that the house, he brought pizza to that apartment building and somebody shot him. So yeah, so it used to be really, really bad in that.
Okay.
So the fact that he would do that tells me something really bad happened there. Or he would go out on the balcony and put his fingers together like a gun and go like shooting off the balcony. I'm like, wait a minute. So
he would only, this behavior would only be with you in this apartment when he came to visit you. Yes. Not when he was at home. Nope. Or any other relative's house. It was in this building that sort of like took over his body and gave him this behavior.
And be in his ear, like teaching him to do stuff. And I would, and I call his mother, like, wait, where he get this? She's like, Mom, he don't do that at home. I'm like, I have no guns in my house. He was not even allowed to have a gun. So where he learned about a gun, and this is a 2-year-old, I'm like, I don't know. So I finally got tired and I went to sleep one night and I began to dream. And what I was dreaming was that I needed to anoint my house. And what it said was every ceiling, every floor, every wall, every window. And that was honestly, it wasn't until I made that move that I had peace.
So you were into this, excuse me, like a year in. You were in this, it went on for almost a year.
Yeah, I think part of the turning point was my friend that told me my house felt nice when she first came in, came up to visit me, and all of a sudden jumped up and ran out the door.
What? Well,
I don't know why until this day when I talked to her. She says, I don't know why I did that.
Did this ghost let you sleep? Were you able to get good night's sleeps in this house, or were you pretty much, did you go to sleep and then it all happened like during the daytime?
It happened all times, at all
so
times.
You could be interrupted in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning from this. One
of the things that they say, 3 o'clock in the morning, if you are suddenly awakened out of a sleep, a spirit that wants you to do something.
Oh my, and it's so, you're not the only one with these ghost stories, because when I reached out to people for stories, any type of stories from regular folks that just want to talk about something, no matter what it be, I was surprised that the people that got back to me said I have a ghost story. I said, you do? Okay, so
one of the stories. if the ghosts are real, they are real, and they can be dangerous. You know what I mean? They're just out there, and they don't know how to get where they're going. And as I was moving out of the house, how I found out other people had experienced it. I stayed there for 9 years.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And those years were peaceful. There was no entities, nothing. But we were all sitting outside, and I was like, yeah, this place is haunted, y'all. And that one guy turned around, he lived downstairs. He was like, oh my God, I'm so glad you said that, because I thought it was just me. And I'm like, no, it's not you. Some guy from the UK moved in next door. He had, he put some sort of stickers and signs in the window. And I asked him what they were for. He said to ward off these evil spirits that's in the
Oh my. Oh
So
my.
everybody was feeling it. You know what I mean? Everybody in the building, a lot of people didn't stay long. A lot of people moved right out. A lot of people were feeling it. But for connected buildings. So my question was, could it have traveled through the whole apartment complex? So it was my building, another building, another building, and another building.
Does this complex still exist? Is it
Yes.
still out? Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is still there. It still stands today. And my last words to the building manager, the building manager, I called him and I said, I don't know what to tell you, but that place is haunted. I'm like, that's why they can't keep people in it.
Oh my.
I said, you know, whatever happened there. Now, someone told me that I should have looked to find out if someone died there, because I believe they did. With the smell of blood, it was just a butcher. It was, it was just bad. And then when I moved, you know, spirits can attach to you and go where you go. You know what I mean? If you're not crossing water or something like that, they can go where you go. And I moved into my daughter's house, and while I was laying there one night, something woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was a smell of blood. And I was like, oh, damn, like it followed me. But I can't remember.
Was it the building? So it was the building, but this spirit happened to follow you to your next location.
Yes.
Okay.
It followed to my next location. It didn't stay long because I didn't do what it wanted me to do. And the first name was Jimmy. I remember the first name, and the first name was Jimmy. And it actually gave me a name, and it was like, I didn't do what they said I did. I need you to tell them that. And I was like, I'm not telling nobody nothing. I'm not getting involved in anything. I'm done. And it eventually left. Since I've moved in my new apartment, I haven't had anything. And one other thing that I really want to mention, if you move into a place and you buy a plant and that plant just dies right away, every plant you buy just died, know something is there.
That's a sign. Okay.
Nothing living will grow in that apartment. And that was the first, that should have been my first clue, because I'm generally good with plants. And I bought one plant, and as soon as I stuck it in the picture it was going into, it died.
So if I see a plant in someone's house and it's dead, I'm going to ask them, how long did you have that plant? If they tell me they just bought it yesterday, I'm out.
I ended up buying 3 more plants. And before I caught on, oh my God.
And they were all just dying.
They were just dying. And I thought it was because, I bought a bad plant from Lowe's, but you're not going to, 3 bad plants at different times. And every time I brought them in, they would die immediately.
Like a green, just a beautiful green plant. You ever try with roses? Like,
no, stop. That was just a waste of money to keep buying plants. Like, I bought the first plant, it died. I was like, I must have got a bad plant. We went to Walmart, bought a plant. It died immediately. It was like nothing lived in that place. And then even tried after, you know what I mean? Like, I knew that something was still there because I was walking in the living room, and all of a sudden, it felt like something just pushed me over.
Oh my.
And I was like, you know what? Okay. You know, that's what you want.
My, this is an interesting story.
The one thing
whether you believe in ghosts or not, here we have someone giving you a their true life ghost story.
Yeah, it was bad.
I don't think I've ever experienced a ghost story. As you were talking, some of the times, for some reason, Casper the Friendly Ghost was popping in my head, because that's the only ghost I knew about. And that was like one of my favorite cartoons. I guess I'm telling my age. I love me some Castor for the friendly ghost, and I hope they're all friendly. So
One,
whether you
the,
believe it or not, it's a ghost story.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Some of the things that I also wanted to say to you is
Okay.
that when they are real. And
Mhm.
even you don't remember, but there was a house that we lived in when you were born that
Okay.
had spirits in it. And
Really?
I've always been, yeah, up in Penn Hills. And I have always been
Well, I know where I was born in Penn Hills, and that house is tore down now. So I always drive on that street. It's like I was born on this street.
yeah, we're actually spirits in there. But some people are more in tune with the spirits than others.
Okay.
And somehow they know, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? That these things that happen to me, sometimes you might see something out of the corner of your eyes. And one of the things that they say, if you thought you saw something or someone, you probably did.
Wow. Now I have had that. Well, I always said it was a dream where somebody's holding you back and you can't get up the bed, and you're trying to get
Mhm,
up and trying to get up and it won't let you up. And I always just like, finally I'm up. So I just thought it was a dream because there was never anybody there. So I'm like, okay, that
mm-mm.
was a dream. That was a horrible dream, you know.
Right. So a lot of times that stuff is true. And a lot of times it is, I was laying in my bedroom here in this apartment, and I
Mhm.
swear I saw a black shadow walk past from the door into the kitchen, and it was gone. It wasn't thinking about me.
What
It
did you
didn't care
do as it
about
was walking by? Did it go really fast, or was you just sitting back there watching
nothing.
it?
Yeah, I
Who
just
was,
watched it. It
and
didn't
you just
bother me. I ain't bother it.
okay.
So, but that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Sometimes you think you see something,
Uh-huh.
and you can honestly believe that if you thought you saw something out the corner of your, oh, I just saw somebody in here, and you walk through and nobody's there, there is probably an entity actually just passing by.
Mm-hmm. Now
Because
I'm looking around. Mm-hmm. I'm looking
yeah,
around,
a lot of
looking for
places
shadows.
are built on cemeteries, or you
Mm-hmm.
know things happen. That's like things happen in these apartments. They weren't always good apartments, you know what I mean?
Right.
So happen, and they were woods before they were apartments. And so those are things
Yeah,
that
that's true. Yeah. Or woods. Filled
yeah,
with a lot of animals, deers, and everything. So
yeah,
I want to thank you so much for that true story. And that
no
is
problem.
Susie's true story. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, it's a true story. Once again, thanks for tuning in. And please subscribe to this channel for more true stories. All righty here. So let's see what to do.